We continue now at the top of Daf Kufay and Hayam and Beis and Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 175b. The Mishnah continues, Hotzi Olav Ksav Yado, if he takes out a document with his own handwriting. The Rashbam explains, Hotzi Olav Malva, if the lender produces a document with Ksav Yado Shalova, with the actual handwriting of the borrower, Shehu Chayiv Lo Mam, that he's Chayiv to him money, V'yein Kan Edus Achers, there's no other testimony that he's obligated to pay him. The only testimony, the only evidence of a debt is the Lova's own handwriting. So again, Hotzi Olav Ksav Yado Shehu Chayiv Lo, if the Malva takes out the Lova's handwriting that he's obligated to him, so in that situation, Gova min nechasim b'nei chorin. So then he can collect from free property, but you cannot collect from nechasim mishubadim in such a situation. And the Rashbam explains, Gova min nechasim b'nei chorin, delo Gova min mishubadim, you only collect from nechasim mishubadim, ella milva hakosav b'shtar sheyesh bo'edim. It has to be written in a document, and there have to be signed witnesses. The kevon de ikatarti, since you have both of those factors, shtar ve'edim, you have a document and you have witnesses, mafki le'lekala, that already puts the word out that there's an obligation that this person has incurred. So anyone who buys from this lova, they're losing out themselves, and they're knowingly losing out. They didn't investigate properly. What they should have done was, they should have left some free property to the person selling to them, so that the collectors, his creditors, would be able to collect from that free property. If a person goes in and buys from a lova and leaves that lova with no property, then he's taking his own risk that property might be taken from the buyer. And the Mishnah continues, Arev hayotze la'achar chitum shtaros. Let's say you have a guarantor, and the guarantor, he signed after the signature that's on the documents. Gova min nechasim b'nei chorin. So then when you're collecting from the guarantor, you can only collect from his free property. And the Rashbam explains, Arev hayotze shekaza b'soch hashtar achar chasim masa'edim, meaning to say, it's written in the document after, below the signature of the witnesses, ani ploni ben ploni Arev, I so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, am a guarantor. So in that situation, Gova min nechasim b'nei chorin, you collect only from the Arev's free property, min ha'arev ba'arvos shebal peh demilva al pehi. You're going to say that that's considered to be like a milva al peh, and therefore you only collect from the free property of the Arev, kevan de lo chasimi edem al ha'arvos, because here, if the Arev is signed below the witnesses' signatures, the witnesses have not signed on the Arvos. They have not signed on the guarantee. V'huadin la'arev below shtar, and the Rashbam notes the same would be true by a guarantor. Let's say there's no document, achar matan mos, let's say the money's already been given, and the guarantor is obligating without a shtar, so then you're going to say again, it's only gove min nechasim b'nei chorin. And the Mishnah continues, Maisa ubo lifnei Rabbi Yishmael, there was an incident like this that came before Rabbi Yishmael, V'yamar gova min nechasim b'nei chorin, and he said, this is the halacha, you only collect from the Arev's free property. Amar lo ben Nanas said to him, he said to Rabbi Yishmael, Eino gove lo min nechasim mishubadim v'lo min nechasim b'nei chorin. In such a case, you actually don't collect. You don't collect from nechasim mishubadim, and you don't even collect from nechasim b'nei chorin. Amar lo, he said to him, Lama, why not? Amar lo, he said to him, Hare hachonek es echad b'shok. Let's say a person is strangling another person in the marketplace. Umatzo chaveru, and his friend finds him. The reason why the person is being strangled is because he owes money. And so the friend finds him, V'amar lo, and he says to him, Hanach lo, let him go. He says, stop strangling him. V'ani etelach, I'll pay. Essentially, he becomes an Arev at that moment. So in that case also, Potter, you're going to, certainly the Arev is exempt. Shalo al emunasu hilveu. The loan was not made trusting that the Arev would pay. The loan was made earlier. Now the Arev's coming in later. There's no obligation whatsoever. That's what Banana says. Ela ezehu Arev shuchayiv. When do you have a situation of an Arev that is obligated? That's only in a situation of hilveu v'ani nosin lach, where the Arev says, lend him money, and then I'll pay it. So then chayiv, then the Arev is chayiv. Shekain al emunasu hilveu, because then already he is lending the money on the trust that the Arev will pay. And the Mishnah continues, V'yamar Rabbi Yishmael, and Rabbi Yishmael says, Harotza sheyachkim, if someone wants to be wise, Yasok b'dinei mamanis, the person should deal with the laws, the monetary laws. She'ein lach miksoa b'torah, there's no section of the Torah, Yoser mehen, or maybe the text is Gadol mehen, according to the Bach. There is no greater section of the Torah than those. V'hein kemayon hanoveh, it's like a flowing spring. V'harotza sheyasok b'dinei mamanis, and somebody who wants to learn dinei mamanis, Yeshamish, he should serve as Shimon ben Nanas, he should serve Shimon ben Nanas. And the Rashbam explains, Amar le ben Nanas said to him, Eino gova, he does not collect in that situation from the Arev at all. T'chol Arev shela'achar matan mos, anytime a person becomes a guarantor after the money's already been given and been lent, lo have a Arev, that's already not considered to be an Arev, is not considered to be a guarantor. Shelo al amunaso v'havtachos shel Arev zehelveo, because the loan wasn't made on the trust and the guarantee of the Arev. The Arev came after the fact, and therefore there is no arvus. And the Gemara says, Amar Ula says, Devar Torah midaoraisa echad milva b'shtar v'echad milva al peh. It doesn't matter if it's a loan that's made with a document. It doesn't matter if it's al peh, if it's an or loan. Gova min nechasim meshubadim. On a doraisa level, you always collect from nechasim meshubadim. There's always a lien on the property. My time, what's the reason? Shibud a doraisa. The reason is that shibud is considered to be a doraisa. It's from the Torah. Ve'elamatam amru milva al peh ino gova elam min nechasim b'nei chorin. So why do they say that a milva al peh is only collected from free property? Mishum pseida de lekuchos. That's because we don't want the buyers to lose out. Meaning to say, in a situation of a milva al peh, the buyers are not going to be aware. They're not going to be able to be careful for such a thing, and so therefore we don't want the property to be collected from them. And the Gemara continues, Yihachi, if so, milva b'shtar nami, shouldn't that be true by a milva b'shtar as well? Don't we not want the buyers to lose out? And the Gemara says, Hasam over there, inhu ninhu, the afsidu an afshay, over there it's their own loss. They should have been aware. When you have a milva b'shtar, as we said, the word goes out. And we should note over here, there is a machlokis rishonim. When Ula says that Devar Torah, that on a doraisa level, the loan, whether it's b'shtar or milva al peh, is collected from the chasim meshubadim, some Rishonim say that means all of the property. There's a lien on all of the property of the lova, not only on land, but on movable property as well. And again, it's the Rabbanan that come later on and say that lien only applies to land and does not apply to property that is movable. Other Rishonim say, no, when we talk about Nechasim Meshubadim here, we're talking about a lien only on the actual land. We're not talking here that there's a Deoraisa Shibud on movable property. And the idea of a shibud, the concept of a shibud is that there's actually an obligation that sets upon the property itself. And that's why when the property goes to buyers, the property can be taken from those buyers as well. That is the idea, that is the concept of a shibud. And just like by a guarantor, where generally speaking you go to the lova first and then you go to the guarantor, when it comes to nechasim meshubadim as well, you go to the lova first to collect, and then if you cannot pay, then you go to the nechasim meshubadim. Let's say those are in the hands of buyers. And the Gemara continues, V'Rabba Amar, and Rabba says, Devar Torah on a doraisa level, echad milva b'shtar v'echad milva al peh, whether it's a loan that's made with a document, whether it's an oral loan, eino gova, elam min nechasim b'nei chorin. On a doraisa level, you only collect from free property. My time, what's the reason? Shibud alav doraisa, because according to Rabba, shibud is not a doraisa idea. Umatam amru milva b'shtar gov min nechasim meshubadim. And why did they say that by a loan that's made with a document, you can collect from nechasim meshubadim? That's kadesh lo tinol delos b'fnei love. And that was in order that they don't close the door before borrowers. Nobody's going to want to lend money if they're not able to collect that from the chasim meshubadim. And the Gemara continues, Yihachi, if so, if you don't want to close the door before borrowers, milval penami, when it comes to a loan that's made orally, also why not collect from the chasim meshubadim? And again, the Gemara says, Hasim over there, less like color, the word does not go out, and so we don't allow the person to collect from the chasim meshubadim. But the Gemara continues, Umiyama Rabba, Hachi, does Rabba really say this, that Shibuda is lav doraisa? V'ama Rabba, but didn't Rabba say, Gavu kark, if they collect land, the yeshlo, so then the Bechor gets a double portion, Gavu mos ainlo, but if they collect money, then he does not get a double portion. And the Rashbam explains, Umiyama Rabba, Shibuda lav doraisa, does Rabba really say Shibud is not doraisa? But we say earlier in Perek Yeshnochlin, Shalchim Itam, that they send from there, Bechor notel pishnayim b'milva, that a Bechor is able to take a double portion. Let's say a loan is collected that was due to the father. V'yamar Rab, and Rabba says on that, what are we talking about that the Bechor, when a debt is collected, he gets a double portion from that collected debt? That's Gavu Karka b'chovas avim. If land was collected from the obligation of their father, Yeshlo, so then he gets the double portion, because there's a shibud during the lifetime of the father. That's considered to be motzei. That's already considered to be in possession, so to speak. Alma shibud doraisa. So you see from there that shibud is doraisa. And the Gemara continues, V'chi Teiman, if you're going to say, Epoch de Rabba le'ula u'de'ula l'Rabba, maybe we should reverse Rabba and Ula and Rabba. Maybe we should say that it was Rabba that actually said that Shibud is doraisa. But that's not true. V'amar Ula, but Ula said, Devar Torah, that on a doraisa level, Baal Chov, Dinei Biziborius, that on a doraisa level of Baal Chov, he's able to collect the Ziborius, the inferior property, and that seems to be saying that there is a Shibud on a Devar Torah, on a doraisa level, on that property. So you see that Ula says that Shibud is doraisa, and the Gemara continues and answers, Rabba taima devnei ma'arava ka'amar. Rabba was just giving an explanation of the people of the West, meaning when Rabba said that gavu karka yeshlo, gavu mos einlo, that was just quoting what they said in the West, what they said in Eretz Yisrael, v'leilo svirle, but he does not hold like that. Rabba actually holds that shibud is not doraisa. And the Rashbam over here has a slightly different text than the text of our Gemara. He has the gears of Epoch Gavu Karka Ein Lo Gavu Mos Yeshlo, that maybe we should reverse what Rabbah said in terms of when the Bechor takes double, and maybe when land is collected as the collection of the debt, then he does not get double, and it's when money is collected that he gets double. That is the reversal that the Gemara is suggesting to Mos Hilveyu Mos Meshalim, because by money was lent and money is being paid, money is being collected. V'dami Tfeila Asher Yimatzelo, that's more considered like Matzoi. And then the Gemara said, Baal Chov Dine Beziborius, a Baal Chov, he's able to collect on a Doraisa level from the inferior property. V'nafkale Beparakama, the Bava Kama, we learned that out in the first parak of Bava Kama, V'hoisha Sheratannosha Bo Yotzi V'gomer, we learn it from the Pasuk, Madarko Shaladam Lahotzi Pachos Shabekelim, a person brings out the least of the vessels when you're talking about a situation of a creditor, Alma Shibud Ziboris Doraisa, so you see that Shibud of the inferior property that's learned from a Pasuk, that's Doraisa. And the Gemara then says, Umashani, then the Gemara answers, L'taimayu devnei ma'arova kamer. He was just saying the reasoning of those in the West. Yamar hasam nozel b'shnayim b'milva b'mekarkai amor v'lo b'mos. He was explaining when they say that the Bechor gets double when this loan is collected, that's by land and not by money. Umiu l'didei svirle, but nevertheless, according to him, he actually holds the Bechor eino notel pishnayim, that the Bechor doesn't take double, v'loshna gavu karka v'loshna gavu mos. He never collects a double portion, whether land is collected or whether money is collected in those situations of collecting debts to Shibud Lav Doraisa, because again, Rabba holds Shibud is Lav Doraisa. And the Gemara continues, Ravu Shmuel Da'armi Tarvayu, Rav and Shmuel, they both say, Milval Peh, when it comes to an oral loan, Eino Gova, that cannot be collected, Lomin HaYorshin, Velomin HaLakuchos, that's not collected from heirs, that is not collected from buyers. My time, what's the reason? Shibud Lav Doraisa, because Rav and Shmuel hold that in general, Shibud is not a Doraisa, and therefore the obligation cannot be collected from those individuals, from heirs of the property, or from buyers of the property, according to Rav and Shmuel. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Da'armi Tarvayu, and Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, they both say milval peh, that when it comes to an oral loan, gova bein min hayarshin uvein min halakuchos, that can be collected both from the heirs and from the buyers. My time, and what's the reason? Shibud doraisa, because Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish hold that shibud is doraisa. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question from the following Brisa. This is from the Tosefta, and this is going to be a question on Rav and Shmuel. Again, Rav and Shmuel say that Shibud is Lav Doraisa, and one does not collect a Milva Al Peh from the heirs. This Brisa is going to indicate that you do collect a Milva Al Peh from the heirs. HaChover Bor Rosh Hashanah, it says in the Brisa, if somebody's digging a pit in Rosh Hashanah, V'nafal Olav Shor V'harago, and an ox falls on the person who's digging the pit, and it kills him, Potter, so the owner of the ox is Potter, because it was the person who's digging the pit in the public space, it's his own fault. V'lo, not only that, let's say the ox dies, Yorshe Balabor Chayavim L'Shalim, the Yorshim of the Balabor, they have to pay Chayavim L'Shalim, and to make sure L'Bailav, they have to pay for the ox to its owner. And so we see over here that because the person was digging a pit in Rosh Hashanah, he is responsible and he has died, and the Yorshim have to pay, and that's basically saying that by a Milval Peh, the Yorshim have to pay. That goes against what Rav and Shmuel said. Rav and Shmuel said by a Milval Peh, Eino Govim and a Yorshin, you do not collect from the Yorshim. And the Gemara continues and answers, Amar Rabbi Law, Amar Rav. Rabbi Law says that Rav says, B'sha Amad Bedin. In this case, the person himself who actually dug the pit, he actually went to court and they were mechayev him. So once he went to court and they were mechayev him, as the Rashbam says, Kisha Amad Bedin, the Ma'isa Bezin, once that went through the court, Kimilva Bishtar Dummy, that's like a Milva Bishtar, and then already, of course, you will collect from the Yarshim. But the Gemara says, how can you say that the person was in court? V'harago katani. But the case in the Bryce over here is that the shore killed him. He died in the pit. So how did he go to court? And the Gemara says to that, Amar Vada Barava, Vada Barava says, Shaso Treifa. Actually, he didn't die in the pit. He was just made a treifa. He had a wound, which would certainly cause him to die, but he was able actually to go to court, and so that's what happened. But the Gemara continues and says, 1 second, Vamar Rav Nachman, didn't Rav Nachman said, Tani Tana Mei Sukvar Hasam, that the Tana taught that he actually died and he was buried over there, meaning to say he died in the pit, so he never went to court. So how can you say again that he was before the court? And the Gemara answers, the Yasvi Daina Puma Debira. What happened was that there were judges that were sitting right there at the mouth of the pit, V'chayvu, and they said he was chayiv. That happened right before he died. That's the case in this brisa, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph.